What's up, everyone? Welcome back. Concert season is upon us. There's a lot of fantastic tour announcements coming out from bands that we love and care about and love to go see all over the globe. Some fantastic rock and metal festivals. And it's time to once again address one of the most important topics I can possibly cover relating to music. Something that's very near and dear to my heart, and that is the subject of earplugs and wearing hearing protection at shows. Recently, I saw some really bad false information put out on a Facebook group from an individual saying that you shouldn't and don't need to wear hearing protection at shows because it won't damage your hearing. And that's simply false. There's a ton of science and research behind it that proves that false. And it's information that should never be given to people that are going to have a chance to go out and see their first concert. So let's discuss this a little bit. Noise-based hearing loss is something that affects millions of people. And it is certainly something that can and will happen during the attendance of a rock or a metal show, specifically because those shows are known to have far louder volumes from a decibel standpoint than other shows. To put everything in perspective, let's talk about that real quick. The average conversation you and I might have is going to be 65 to 70 decibels, if not maybe a little bit louder. And that's completely okay. That's typical hearing volume. 85 decibels, that's a little bit louder. You probably don't want to be exposed in a situation like that for longer than 8 hours if you're not wearing EarPro. Getting up into the 90 decibel range, you want to start limiting your time a bit lower, 2.5 hours, preferably up to 2 hours before you start, or just put in your Pro immediately and you don't have to worry about it as much. When you start getting into that 100 decibel plus range where you have to shout, you don't want to be in that longer than a half hour if you're not wearing ear protection. When you get over that, you could barely hear people even when you are shouting. You need to have hearing protection in situations like that. Now, keep in mind, the average volume for a heavy metal or a rock concert is going to be 115 plus decibels, possibly getting well above 130 and even into the 140 plus range. That is instantly damaging to your hearing. Exposure time of less than a minute can cause ringing in your ears, i.e. tinnitus, and can and will damage your hearing. You ever come back from a show without wearing hearing protection, wearing ear pro, i.e. earplugs or ear muffs, and go, man, why are my ears ringing? That's because you did temporary damage to your hearing because you were stuck in an environment like that with really loud volume. And it was beating on your hearing and your ears have been damaged, be it temporarily or permanently. Thing is you never know, and that can lead to permanent hearing damage. And that's really important because out of everything, hearing is one of those things you can never get back on your own. You're never going to get it back naturally. Only through the use of a hearing aid will you be able to possibly recover hearing. So, hearing protection is absolutely essential. And it's not just my opinion, it's a proven fact that hearing protection is absolutely essential when you go to a concert if you want to preserve your hearing. Because if not, there is no if it might, it will at some point damage your hearing if you're out loud concerts. And you get a lot of detractors that make fun of you for it. Oh, you're wearing ear pro. You must not like the band. You look stupid. You know you don't need that. The usual catcalls and idiocy. However, it's all false. It's people being immature and unintelligent, and quite frankly, not knowing what they're talking about, not doing the research and seeing the science behind it. Because it's not a if you might, it's an if you will. If you continue to expose yourself to that stuff in a show, you will lose your hearing, or your hearing will be damaged at some point. And if you even suffer a tiny bit of hearing loss, you're still losing hearing. It's just a percentage of it. And it's really important, especially to a new concert goer. In my opinion, there are 3 things that are essential when you go to a show. The first 2 kind of go hand in hand. It's your ID and your ticket. The third thing that should be in that trio of things you need to have is a set of earplugs, because you cannot get your hearing back. There's also other misconceptions about wearing earplugs. Well, you're missing out on the show. That's also not true. Having hearing protection in, be it cheap earplugs or a really outstanding set of either inner ear or muff digital earplugs, you're going to hear the sound better, because you're cutting out that harshness of the live sound. You're cutting out some of those additional frequencies, those nasty, harsh, high frequencies, which are certainly more prone to happen in a local show environment, because you get into having bands that are starting out or just don't know how to set up their gear, to set up their amps to be able to dial in a tone and get a lot of those nasty, harsh, aggressive frequencies out. And I've seen that time and time again as somebody who used to book and promote, and also as a musician myself who has played live. But you cut those frequencies out and cut the harshness out while having earplugs in. The concert's 115 plus decibels. You're not going to miss much. It's not going to drown the show out. You're still going to be able to hear the show just fine. You might have to loosen the earplugs a little bit to possibly have a conversation back and forth if you're just using the foam ones or the plastic ones. But if you decide to go to shows frequently, then it is absolutely worth it to invest the $50 to $100 in a set of digital earplugs, be it inner ears or muffs. The firearms community, especially here in the United States, there's fantastic digital earmuffs that can be purchased for $45, $50 plus that will allow you to have a conversation at normal volumes with the people you're with, and then they kick in and at a certain decibel level and cut that and protect your hearing. So you and I could be out at a show. We could be having a conversation back and forth, both having digital hearing protection on. We'll hear each other just fine. But when the PA kicks in, suddenly the band gets out, everybody goes nuts. There's screaming, there's yelling, there's loud music, those riffs kick in, the drums are thundering. Guess what? Your hearing is safe. So all those people that are sitting there walking around without earplugs and they're making fun of you, don't even think anything of it. It's not worth it. Because at the end of the day, at the end of the year, as you get on later in life, you're going to be the one laughing or smiling because you still have your hearing, while these people do not. While they have lost hearing due to the fact that they have not been wearing plugs. And I've seen people say, oh, well, I'll laugh at anybody that wears their hearing protection. Well, I guess you're laughing at the majority of bands, the majority of stagehands and people that are on a tour, guitar techs, bass techs, drum techs, sound guys. Because guess what? Those guys that work there professionally, they're wearing hearing protection because they want to save their hearing. They don't want to lose it. And there are people out there who were born with less hearing or no hearing, and they would kill to be able to have the hearing that you have that you're destroying by not wearing hearing protection. So, hearing protection will protect you, and you'll get a better experience out of it because you're going to hear the music better, and you're going to cut out all those harsh frequencies, the harsh volume. It'll be more pleasant. When you get out of the show, you want to go have a beer, you want to go sit down and get some food or burn a cigar or a cigarette with your buddies, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your wife, whoever you're with. You're not going to have this terrible tinnitus ringing in your ears that's hindering your conversation. You're not going to be struggling later on in life with that constant tinnitus, or having to tell people to speak up, or having to turn things up because you've destroyed your hearing or you've lost your hearing. Hearing loss sucks. It's not fun, and it's a hard thing to deal with. And it's just not worth it for a perceived difference in being able to hear a show if you're only, and that typically only happens if you're using plastic or foamy. There's some great options out there. If you want, I can if you guys tell me in the comments, I can certainly put in a list of some stuff that I would recommend, stuff that industry professionals recommend. Typically, if you catch me at a show, I've got a pocket full because I've got them for me, I've got them for the people I'm with, because you can get foamies for a couple of bucks, but I certainly have invested in digital hearing protection because the hearing I have left is precious, and I want to keep that as long as possible. You should too. The only dumb thing about hearing protection at a show is not wearing it, because the science backs me up. The research backs me up. Not wearing hearing protection at shows, at concerts, will cause you to lose hearing. So please be safe, be smart, and never, ever recommend, especially to a new person, that they should not wear earplugs at a show and that it won't damage their hearing, because that's flat out false and it's flat out wrong. We're supposed to encourage each other, keep each other safe, and have a good time at shows. That's what they're there for. So take care of the people you're around. And if they don't want to listen, that's their problem. But at least you've done your due diligence and tried. And at least you're being safe by making sure your ears are protected. Thanks, guys. This is a major pet peeve. It's something that really bothers me. I've seen entirely too many people have their hearing damage from shows and working in other environments where hearing loss will happen. There's lots of different causes for it, but this is a big one, and it affects millions of people every year. So take care of yourselves, guys and gals out there. I love you. I appreciate you. This is why I do this. Thank you to everybody who continues to follow and support the channel. Thank you to my law enforcement, military, veterans, and first responders for what you guys do every single day. As always, you have been awesome. I have been Baldman. I'll see you in the next one. Be excellent to each other and keep headbanging.